the biggest challenges in large language models is hallucination. In this video, we'll look into what is hallucination and how can you avoid hallucination in large language models. On the right hand side, you see an example where you give a very simple mathematical question to ChatGPT, and instead of saying, I don't know the answer, it has given us a wrong answer. If you try the Python equivalent of these question, you would see that the answer is 483 instead of 1. So let's define formally what is hallucination. So hallucination is something where a model generates an answer which is looks correct, but factually it is incorrect or it's unrelated to the given context. This is happening because of AI models' inherent bias. It lacks real world understanding, or it has limitations in terms of training data. In other words, hallucination is that it has not trained on explicit information, which is leading to unreliable or misleading response. Let's take one example where I have a context about Summer Olympics for men, and I have some context. When I ask a question about women's race on Summer Olympics, the model gives answer that women's event took place on 31st July 2020, which is absolutely wrong. Let's try and understand 6 ways how can you avoid hallucination. First one is include. You include an instruction to a model not to make up stuff. If you remember our last video, we have written a prompt saying, if you don't know the answer, say, I don't know. This is referring to include statement. The second point is repeat. You repeat your most important instruction multiple times. The third one is position. So you add most important information at the end of the prompt. You keep your parameter like temperature 0 to get factual information, but this does not guarantee that you will get factual answers, but this certainly helps. You restrict the output of a model in a limited context rather than giving the model freedom to output really long text, which is not required. Or you add something like continuous chain of thoughts, where you simply add a line at the end saying that think step by step. This makes language model think harder. Also, it gets more time to analyze the answer. Now let's try this examples in our use case and see if we are able to reduce the hallucination. So let's modify this prompt. Now I add a context, or I add a line saying that if you don't know the answer, say I don't know. This is referring to the first option include in the last slide which we have seen. As you can see, I have again included if the context is not sufficient to answer, say I don't know. This is called as repeat, the second option which we have seen in the last slide. And the third one is position, which we have used here. So the most important information we have used at the end. Now, as you can see, the temperature is still 1. We are able to get an answer, I don't know. Let's try another technique where we change the temperature to 0. And now if you see, even with the old prompt, we are able to see that the answer is correct. In the next video, we will look into advanced prompt engineering techniques and how to use them.